Hey, welcome back to another episode of the She's Making an Impact podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Ngom. And today, this was actually a topic requested by one of our newest Activate students, is what are some of the challenges? What are some of the setbacks that you faced? And how have you overcome them? And as I got down to planning out this episode and what I wanted to talk about, to be totally honest, I came up with three. And then I was like, I haven't had very many. And that's literally just my mindset, because all these things that I'm going to share with you, I never really thought of them like, oh, this sucks. This is huge, major setback. This is a huge challenge. It was like, okay, this is happening. How are we going to get through this? And I think that's one of the reasons why we've gotten to where we are today, is just literally managing your mind, of seeing these challenges as an opportunity for growth. And so I'm going to share with you a lot of the mistakes, setbacks, things that I've been through throughout my life and in my business, and how we got through them. But I think one of the biggest lessons to learn that I really want you to take away from this is that it's all about your mind and reframing all of these things. Instead of saying oh no, this sucks, this is terrible, why is this happening to me? And that whole woe is me thing, of just being all right, this is what's happening right now. Everything is figure outable. Shout out Marie Forleo. What can we do? What can we do to get through this, to overcome this, that mindset. That'll be huge. Welcome to the She's Making an Impact podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Ngom. I'm an entrepreneur, mom, adventure lover, and creator of Pin with Purpose, the Impact Blogging Academy, and Activate. I went from food stamps and negative $400 in my checking account to a multiple six-figure online business. This is your show to learn from me and other rockstar entrepreneurs how to monetize your passion and live out your purpose. If you're ready to increase your income while making a massive impact on the world, this is the show for you. I'm so pumped you're here. Let's get started. Let's dive in with one of my first major setbacks. So if you don't know my story, I played volleyball for 10 years, and this was my life. I played, 6 days a week, 4 to 5 hours a day, for a long time. We won the Junior Olympics my senior year of high school. I was an All-American. We played in China. We played in Italy. I got a full ride to play Big Ten at the University of Illinois. And that was it was my life, basically. And if you've ever done anything for that long at that intensity, it's so easy to get your identity wrapped up into it. And so I was volleyball player, and I got injured my sophomore year. And when that happened, it was who am I now? What what am I going to do with my life? What is happening? And I honestly, that was one of the biggest setbacks that I've been through at that time in my life. And it was a huge turning point. And looking back, oh man, when you look back at a lot of these things, you can totally see God working. And because if I never got injured, I never would have had 6 months to be able to go and live in Kenya. And, you don't get 6 months off when you play volleyball at that level. It's never going to happen. But that injury ended up being such a huge blessing and helped me, grow through getting through that time. Next setback is I went and got my master's at the George Warren Brown School of Social Work, and that was the #1 program in the country. I was so excited to get accepted into that school. That was my top school. And after I graduated, couldn't find a job. Again, another major setback. Crap, what am I going to do with my life if the only job I can get is cleaning equipment at our local gym for minimum wage? And again, looking back, holy crap, am I so grateful that I didn't get a job, that, I would be working 9 to 5 away from my family, not having the freedom. We wouldn't have been able to live in France or do think of all the things we've done over the past 10 years that I wouldn't have been able to do if I got a regular 9 to 5 job. All the lives that we wouldn't have been able to impact. Yes, I would have been able to impact at a smaller scale in that job. But oh man, so grateful that things turned out the way it did, and it forced me to grow and to really dive into entrepreneurship. Next is I was an entrepreneur in my first business, which was in network marketing, and being the competitive person that I am, and given the state of our financial situation, I was so all in. Like, I wanted to rank advance and be at the top, and which we did. We ended up being at like the top 0.01% of the company and earning a six-figure income and getting all of the trips and all of that stuff. And with that came a lot of coffee, and then a lot of wine, and then a lot of coffee to wake myself up from the wine. And, I gave myself adrenal fatigue. I ended up gaining 30 pounds and was working all the time to reach those goals. I didn't have any boundaries or anything like that. I had a new baby. And I just remember, like, TJ was 1 and he was mobile like crazy. Like, he just wanted to run around all over the place. And I was on the couch, like, I can't chase you, dude. I'm going to have to send up a little barricade because I have strep throat this month. Next month, I'll have the flu. Then I'll get strep throat again. And it was just like a hot mess. And again, grateful that I went through that because it really taught me boundaries, having work-life balance, not working like 80 hours to try to reach some goal that someone else sets for you. Huge. Next setback. I'm looking at my list and I'm like, oh yeah, that happened. So our company in network marketing, we went from like $20,000 in a year to $80,000 in a year. And me being, like 25, maybe 26, and having no clue what the heck I was doing, did not set aside money to pay the IRS. Nice big mistake, and wasn't in touch with an accountant to let him know, hey, our income has grown by this much. How much should I set aside? So we ended up owing the IRS $12,000 the following year, which we didn't have. So we had to go on like payment plans and all of that, which again, this is like quality problem, but that was like a huge setback of getting that and being like, oh crap, like you got to learn this lesson now. So now I'm always very conservative. We now work with a great bookkeeper. Shout out to Katie Farrow, who's one of our students who does our books, Orderly Accounting. Check her out. And an accountant, and we pay our taxes monthly now. And way in advance. So that was fun. Next setback is our network marketing income getting cut in half. So, when you have this level of success. I made $15,000 in a month, which was that was so much money at the time. Oh my gosh. When we were on food stamps prior, and having that and then going down to $4,000 in a month, and then being stuck at $4,000 a month when that's your sole income. And that was a huge wake-up call that you can't have all of your eggs in one basket. Like, you have to diversify your income in this day and age. You can't just be reliant on one source. And two, I am very grateful because, again, it forced me to get out of my comfort zone of being in network marketing, and it forced me to start something else and to try real entrepreneurship. Not that network marketing isn't entrepreneurship, but it's like you're working with someone else's company and you're not 100% in control. Which I definitely saw when they made that switch. And I was like, I'm working harder than ever before. Why isn't this working? But again, I'm so grateful that it forced me to grow. It forced me to hire a business coach to start this company. And you wouldn't be here. This podcast wouldn't be here. I would still be in my network marketing bubble if that didn't happen. So again, grateful. More recently in this business, when you work with a Facebook ads manager and they tripled their price, when we went from paying $2,000 a month for someone to manage our ads to $6,500 a month for the same people to manage our ads, that was a wake up call too. And having to start with someone new and going through that hiring process. That was a fun learning experience, which, by the way, you don't need to pay $6,500 for someone to manage your ads. We found someone that's very good at way less than that. Launching an offer to crickets. So I remember my first year, I feel like there's so many things I just, when you're first getting started in business, messy action, just go as fast as you can, suck a lot, make a bunch of mistakes. I think one of my first offers that got no traction was my first like Black Friday offer I decided to do my first year in this business, and like nothing happened. I would send out emails and everything, and I was like, I'm just not, like at first I didn't even feel good about doing it, because if you read my email from this year's Black Friday, I hate Black Friday. And so I just did it because I saw everyone else doing it, which is another lesson. Like, don't do something because everyone else is doing it. Do something because it feels in alignment with you and you feel good about it. So if you're putting an offer out there and you don't feel in alignment and you don't feel good about it, chances are it's not going to go over so well. So that was a huge lesson of always making sure with everything that you're doing, it should feel good. Like, it should feel so good when you put it out there. You should feel like not confident, because you're not always going to feel confident when you put it out there, but you should feel really like proud of what you've done. And you know that when people sign up for it, they're going to get such a steal of a deal. And this is like the right move for you in this moment. Follow your gut for sure. Oh, this was fun. I'm just looking at my list. I was like, this was a great time. When we spent thousands of dollars on ads to a webinar. So we were hosting a webinar. We spent between probably like $5,000 on ads for that webinar. The webinar crashed. And that was probably, I think I was at Disney. I was in Disney World with my family, and I was trying to host the webinar in a hotel room, and the webinar just completely crashed. And that's one of those things, like, you have to just figure it out. And so in the moment, I wasn't like, this is a huge setback. I was like, crap, what are we going to do? And so I just opened up a Zoom webinar room and posted that in there. We ended up actually being profitable on that webinar because I was able to think on my toes and think quickly and say, all right, this is what we're going to do next. Like, everyone join me here. And now every webinar that I do, I always have someone on our team there. Typically Michelle is on there with me. And then we always have a backup Zoom webinar link just in case, because you learn your lesson. But one of the biggest things, like, you can't say, oh crap, this happened. Just be like, how can I get resourceful? How can I figure this out? What can I do? We launched Pinterest templates our first year in business. And whenever I get an idea, I just get really excited and I just do it really quickly. And when you have a team around you, that's probably not the best thing to do, because especially when you're not like the tech person on the team. So I decided I wanted to launch these Pinterest templates, and I didn't want to wait for our tech help in making sure, just review that I did everything correctly, and launched it. And we ended up having major tech issues. And so that was a good learning experience. Always wait for Ariana to double check your work, and probably have her do all the work in the first place, and slow down just a little bit so you can get your team on board. And you're not having those issues. It's a good thing I can laugh at myself after all this. Oh, this was a big lesson. Oh, this sucked. So we were doing, we had Pin with Purpose, our Pinterest course. This had been evergreen for probably a year. And when it's evergreen, this means it's a webinar, it's selling every single day, making sales, doing really well. And I had a lot of people being like, are you going to do a Pinterest challenge again? So I'm like, yes, let's do it. So we live launched Pin with Purpose after it had been evergreen. And when we did that, this is like a little more advanced lesson. When we did that, the evergreen sales started to tank. The launch did okay, but it was like a $50,000 launch, which, that's I need to be okay with that. Like, when you think about all the things, like where I came from, that's more than double our annual income in 5 days. So yes, like that's good. But I was expecting higher numbers, but we didn't, because it had been evergreen. And the evergreen numbers tanked. And so that was a big lesson. When you have something that's working that is evergreen, don't live launch it. Just keep it evergreen and be happy, because money is coming in, and live launch something else. Okay. And this is the last one. I'm sure there's like a million more, but again, I always see these as opportunities and possibilities for learning and growth. Last one, we had Neil Patel scheduled to be interviewed on this podcast. And this was such a big deal, because I've looked up to Neil for the longest time, and I've learned so much from him. And when he was scheduled to be on the interview, I was in Senegal in West Africa without internet connection that day. Because we were there on vacation at the time, and my husband had gone to do something and left me with a hotspot that ran out of internet. And so that I was so sad. I'm like, oh my gosh, is he going to reschedule? Did I lose my opportunity? But I learned always have more than enough internet when you are in a developing country. And it's never going to be the end of the world. Like everything, you're going to figure it out. So I hope you've learned through many of the things that I've been through that all these things, they're just an opportunity for growth and a lesson to be learned, and they're always going to happen. And just look at yourself and think, like, what can I learn about this? Oh, this made me think of another one. So you can tell I don't like script out my podcast episodes, right? It's like we're having a conversation. So we were doing a live launch. I forget what it was for. Was it for Activate? Was it for the Infinite Growth? It was something. And in our sales email, the very first sales email, went out and went to the wrong sales page. And I was like, oh crap. So we had to figure out how to like redirect it at the last second, which I guess is a plus when I was in France at the time. So when you're awake like 6 hours ahead of everyone else when those emails go out. Oh, another one happened today. We sent the wrong time in the email of that we're going live for our Infinite Growth Challenge that started on January 13th. So I mean, these little things, they happen all the time. And you just got to say, all right, everything's figure outable. What can I do next? And keep moving and keep taking messy action and keep moving forward. I hope you learned something today and that I made you laugh a little bit and you could laugh at my mistakes and everything that I've been through, and just know that they're going to happen and you're going to grow and you're going to get better because of them. And you just got to be okay with it because it's just a part of life and a part of business. I would love it if you would tag me on Instagram and just tell me what is your biggest takeaway from this, or what was the one that, stood out to you the most or you resonated with the most. Just tag me at She's Making an Impact on Instagram. And if you haven't yet left a review of the podcast, go do that. I read every single one and it's going to help us reach more people and make a bigger impact in this world. So thank you in advance for doing that. In your review, tell me what's a topic you want me to cover on this show, because I do this for you. So if there's something you want, just tell me. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. All right, I will talk to you later.
Please go to iTunes and give my mommy a 5-star review. Thank you. Yes!